because I'm going to do a presentation now about the news.
Ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Because people assume that the news is like the weather. You know, it's all around, it happens all the time, and when you experience it, you generally feel miserable after being in it. But crucially, they think that the news is neutral. You know, it's just reported back to them as it happens untainted. But nothing could be further from the truth. Right? Which is ironic, because the news is supposed to be exposing the truth to you. It's actually a front. The news is a front for people with political and business ambitions. Okay, let's consider a newspaper, right? Let's say you want a newspaper because it's quite influential. To get a newspaper, it costs a lot of money. So you either have to be some ruthless businessman that's got loads of money, or you've got inherited wealth. Well, so you've got inherited wealth, right? So you've acquired this newspaper. Now you're going to come from a background that is going to have particular values and beliefs. You know, it's going to come from the upper echelons of society. So your worldview will be based on what you learn from school, for example. And if it's a privileged background, where the people who run the world are teaching you how to run the world, you're going to make friends at school who are going to get into a powerful position. So if you've got political ambitions or business ambitions, you can help each other out. Okay? So if you stand to benefit from the NHS being run down and privatised, then if you're in the political game, you can say, I can sort that for you, mate, don't worry. So you've come from this particular background. Now, in order to convince people that they need to listen to you, you need to demonstrate that you've got authority. So you have these imposing buildings that are your headquarters. So people are impressed and think, well, I must know what they're talking about. And then you impress upon them the urgency of what you're telling them. The news is so important. They have to be paying attention all the time and picking up what the latest gossip or whatever. So you've got to pay attention to the news. Now, because you're too busy taking drugs or whatever to actually run the newspaper yourself, you hire an editor. Now this editor is probably going to be a friend of yours. And chances are they're going to come from the same background, so they can have the same worldview. So basically, they've got bias. They're biased towards a certain story. Now there's hundreds and thousands of stories happening every day, right? But they're there to choose the particular stories that helps them. So there's a selection process already. They're only going to choose the stories that they think will help them and their boss to further their interests. Now, obviously some stories are so big that they're going to be reported anyway, but how you report that story can influence how you perceive it. So, has it just rained a lot, or is it climate change? And the language you use in the story is significant, right? So if someone unleashes something, you're going to get a perception of, ooh, that must be unpleasant then, or that perhaps is dangerous. So the language that they use is going to influence how you perceive the story. It's never neutral. And they'll also only tell you little bits of the story that emphasise, it's like drug companies only releasing certain data in their clinical trials because they like that bit. So, for example, is that a terrorist or is it a freedom fighter? Until the media decides which side they're fighting on, whether it's beneficial to them or not, we won't know. And it's entirely dependent on whether it's to their benefit or not. And you will never, ever see a paper do this. Because it undermines their authority. Even when they do lie, and they have to apologise with a little bar on the back somewhere, it just undermines their authority. They'll never do it. So we like to think that we're sophisticated enough to spot propaganda when we see it. If the Nazis were trying to do their propaganda the way they depicted the Jews, we think, you can see straight through that, that's so obvious. What are you trying? Oh, wait a minute. Perhaps we're not that sophisticated, to be honest, because like the benefit cheats, the benefit frauds, they're the one that, why are they getting all this media attention when they're just a minuscule part of the economy? Well, it's propaganda, pure and simple, that's what it is. And also, if the media, if the military-industrial complex want to represent themselves, it's always, this disciplined authority, and it's our glorious army or whatever. They're not cold-blooded killers like the enemy. And we like to think that we reach a conclusion about a news story by ourselves, but actually like rats in a maze, we're gently directed along a certain path until we end up at a conclusion that the media wants you to arrive at. So the trick is to read between the lines And when you come across a story, ask yourself, why am I being told this story? Why is it being chosen? Who benefits from this story? And then to research around it and use critical thinking skills to decide whether it's true or not. Thank you very much.